Don't all start at once.
Well, when you get to come out throwing like that, you enjoy that. You had a lot of play action too, right? Huh?
It was, yeah. Arthur did a good job of calling some aggressive shots over the middle, first couple plays and first drive. So Roman Wilson made a really nice catch to kind of get us going. So it was fun.
Cool for you to be back out there?
Really cool, really fun. Good to be back in the black and gold, man. Just a lot of friends, a lot of dear friends, and coaches that I've spent a lot of time with, and there's just a level of comfortability there that you can't really replace. So.
Anyone else? Perfect.
Wonderful. Thanks, guys.
Perfect.
The lights were bright, the Florida humidity hung heavy, and Jacksonville's fans, draped in teal and gold, came into this night thinking it was just another preseason showcase, a tune-up before the real thing. But by the time the final whistle blew, by the time the last helmet came off, the conversation wasn't about just a preseason game anymore. It was about something far bigger, a truth the Jaguars didn't want to face, and one the Steelers delivered without apology. From the first series, you could feel the shift. Jacksonville had spent the offseason pounding their chest, fastest defense in the AFC South, a young, hungry secondary, an improved pass rush. But under the Jacksonville night sky, the Steelers didn't just match that energy, they stole it. Mason Rudolph, in what many thought would be a forgettable August appearance, carved up that defense like it was a mid-season rivalry game. No panic in the pocket, no happy feet, just surgical throws that cut through Jacksonville's confidence. Every completion, every first down, was another pin in the balloon of Duval County hype. And on the other side, the Jaguars' offense, so often praised for Trevor Lawrence's leadership and rhythm, sputtered under the weight of their own expectations. Pittsburgh's defensive front bullied the line, collapsing pockets, and forcing throws into tight windows that weren't there. By halftime, what was supposed to be a warm-up had turned into a statement. If this was just a preseason game, why did Jacksonville look like they were fighting for air by the second quarter? And here's the kicker. Jacksonville's coaching staff didn't seem ready for it. Their sideline body language told a story they didn't want televised. Arms crossed, faces tense, coaches leaning harder into clipboards than into their players. Steelers coaches, meanwhile, were loose, confident, like they knew something Jacksonville didn't, that their own breakout defense wasn't ready for prime time. This wasn't just a scoreboard win. This was a psychological win, a warning shot across the league. Because here's the dirty little secret about the NFL preseason. Yes, the games don't count, but the tape does. And tonight's tape is going to be brutal for Jacksonville's defensive staff. When a backup quarterback makes your starters look like a college scout team, questions get asked. Loud questions. Steelers fans, was this just preseason fire, or did Pittsburgh actually expose Jacksonville's defense for real?
The boxes that I wanted to see checked were almost entirely on offense, and I think a lot of people probably shared that sentiment. I'm going to start with Broderick Jones, because you know how I've been keeping an eye on him. He knows how I've been keeping an eye on him. We had also a brief chat afterward. He didn't want to talk about anything on the record, so I'm not going to share any of that. But let's just say from his smile, you could tell from his disposition that he knew that what we saw was real. He played well.
He did. He did technically, if you want to talk about who let the guy through.
Oh, no,
that got
you're not
to the
going to do
quarterback.
that.
I am not doing
no,
that.
You're not going to do that.
I'm not doing that.
I don't want to hear this.
I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Mason Rudolph did get sacked
He
one
did.
time, but that was after he held onto the ball for probably about 17 seconds.
That sack was 100% on Mason.
1,000%. Broderick played really well tonight. Just about every rep that he had in pass protection, he looked good. I'm almost not even worried about the run blocking right now. We know he can run block on a more consistent basis than the way he performs in pass protection. And in pass protection tonight against starters on the other side of the ball. Now they're not running a whole bunch of
Right. There's
crazy
no tricks.
stuff. Yeah, no tricks and anything like that. It's just beat the guy across from you. Well, again, baby steps with Broderick. He did
that.
And that's the controversy Jacksonville can't duck. If this was supposed to be a soft look at what their defense could be in 2025, they just let the rest of the league see every weakness. Pittsburgh's offensive line handled their blitz looks with ease. Receivers found space against man coverage that was supposed to be Jacksonville's strength. Even on the ground, the Steelers got chunk runs in situations where Jacksonville was loading the box. Now the questions start. Was the Jaguars' 2024 defensive improvement just smoke and mirrors? Did they buy too much into their own offseason headlines? Or did Pittsburgh just give the rest of the league the blueprint to beat them before Week 1 even kicks off? Steelers fans will tell you, this wasn't a fluke. It's culture. This is a team that doesn't care if it's August or January, if it's Mason Rudolph or Kenny Pickett, if it's home or away. The standard is the standard. And tonight, the standard was domination. But for Jacksonville, this was a gut punch. You could hear it in the way local media asked questions after the game. You could see it in the way players avoided eye contact on their way to the tunnel. And you could feel it in the air, that quiet, uneasy tension that comes when you realize the season you've been hyping might already be on the brink of unraveling. The worst part? The Steelers weren't even at full strength, and they still made Jacksonville fold. This wasn't supposed to happen. Not here. Not now. Not against a Steelers team that, on paper, should have been in experimental mode. But that's what makes this sport beautiful and brutal all at once. You don't get to choose when the truth shows up. And tonight, it showed up in black and gold. Because if Pittsburgh can walk into your house in August, throw your defensive pride to the ground, and walk out smiling, what do you think is going to happen when it's cold, when it's for real, and when everything is on the line? If you're the Jaguars right now, are you panicking or brushing this off as preseason noise? And that's where the real twist comes in. This wasn't just a one-off bad night for Jacksonville. This was a slow, public undressing of everything they've been selling their fans all summer. Steelers offensive coordinator Eddie Faulkner wasn't just calling plays, he was calling bluffs. Blitz packages? Picked up. Press coverage? Exploited. The Jaguars' defense didn't just get beaten, they got read like an open book. This is where Steelers football becomes dangerous, not just because they beat you, but because they make you question who you are. Jacksonville came in thinking they were fast, disciplined, and physical. They walked out wondering if they were any of those things at all. By the start of the third quarter, you could see Jacksonville defenders over-communicating, hands waving, pointing, shifting alignment right before the snap, all the classic signs of a unit that knows it's on the ropes. That's when Mason Rudolph dropped his most ruthless completion of the night. A deep corner strike over tight man coverage that set up a red zone run and the kind of sideline celebration that stings worse than any scoreboard. Because in that moment, Jacksonville wasn't just losing a game, they were losing their aura. And Steelers fans? They ate it up. You could hear, "Here we go, Steelers," chants echoing in the background even in Duval's own stadium. That's the thing about Pittsburgh, they travel. And when you give them a reason to make noise, they'll drown out your home crowd in a heartbeat. This was supposed to be Jacksonville's confidence game. Instead, it was their reality check. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence, cool-headed leader, face of the franchise, spent most of his time battling a collapsing pocket. Even when he had time, Pittsburgh's coverage schemes baited him into checkdowns that went nowhere. When your offensive rhythm is reduced to short yardage scraps, the defense knows it's got you where it wants you. The Steelers' pass rush wasn't just winning, it was forcing Jacksonville's coaching staff into a corner. Do they keep Lawrence out there and risk his confidence? Or do they pull him early and admit Pittsburgh had already won the night? They chose the latter, but the damage was done. Every second of that tape will be dissected, replayed, and used against them by Week 1 opponents. And here's where it gets personal. Myles Jack, playing against his former team, didn't just make plays, he made statements. Every tackle, every blitz, every moment he jawed at his old sideline added fuel to the narrative that Jacksonville didn't value him enough, and now they were paying the price. The crowd noticed. The cameras noticed. And trust me, the locker rooms on both sides noticed. Be honest, if your so-called elite defense gets exposed this badly in the preseason, is that a sign of bigger problems ahead? Or can you just shrug it off? Pittsburgh's physicality didn't fade in the fourth quarter, it escalated. While most teams ease up in August, Mike Tomlin's crew tightened the screws. Backup defenders still chased plays downfield like it was January. That's not preseason energy. That's a statement of intent. And here's what the league won't say out loud. Nobody wants to see a locked-in Pittsburgh team this early in the year. Because if they're already out scheming, out hitting, and outworking you in the heat of August, what are they going to do when the playoffs are in reach? The Steelers didn't just beat Jacksonville, they may have beaten their season before it even began. Like what you heard. Hit that like button, subscribe to Gridiron Insights, and ring the bell to stay locked in with all the latest NFL breakdowns, drama, and exclusive takes. This is your home for the real talk. See you in the next video.